it's here. We got the floor pans. They're in. Alright, so we're taking the body off the chassis of the Volkswagen today. And of all of our Volkswagen books, none of them go into great detail about how to do it. So we've got several. This one that's all torn up right here, that's a Volkswagen book of this era. And there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. And we've got two more inside. None of them go into great detail on how to remove the body from the chassis. We've done it before, so I'm not real worried about it. But I just find it interesting that none of them go into detail about it, because I'm like, how did we figure out how to do it before? Are we that bold? Alright, so I already have the fenders off the rear of the Volkswagen. This is not needed to take the body off. It's just of note that it's already like that, but you don't need to take them off to get the body off. So we will be accessing a couple bolts. There are a couple bolts, hold on. So on each side though, there is a bolt underneath the rear fender that you're going to want to access it, which is this guy, which has this nice little blue washer on there from the last time I took this body off. So you take the bolt off here and the same on the other side, so on driver and passenger side. And that's one body to chassis bolt right there. And inside the car, you're going to want to strip out most of the interior to do this. Well, all of the interior really. And in here, there are several bolts. There should be a bolt there. There's one there. There's one over there and over there. And your car may or may not have a bolt up here going from the tunnel here to the actual body. May or may not have that depending on the year. And in here, what have we got up here? I do need to disconnect the steering column and the brake master cylinder. It may be easier, I don't remember. I'm going to try and unbolting the gas tank, because then the gas tank can lift off and I might be able to at least get some space to work down through there. And I think that's easier. We'll try it. There's this breather line right here. Remove that guy. So those are your filler lines right there coming in to the tank. Gotta disconnect those. I'm also going to disconnect this fuel sender wire here. Then I've got a hemostat right here. I'm going to use this to pinch off the fuel line on the bottom of the tank. There it is. Alright, now we have much better access to what we need in here. And you can see, wow, look at this paint down here. That's crazy. So you can see we also need to disconnect the master cylinder here, because these lines run up to the reservoir, fluid reservoir right up here. There's also two more body mount bolts. There's one right there, and there's one right over here. And then we also have great access to the steering column now. We can undo these 4 bolts and disconnect that. Alright, so then these bolts on the steering column, these are all 14 millimeter. Alright, next we want to remove these bolts that are holding the body to the chassis. These guys. Alright, and there are multiple ways you could approach undoing this clamp here on the brake lines. I'm going to do it by, I'm going to unclamp those and actually drain the fluid out of the reservoir completely. And then we'll put new fluid in there when we put everything back together. It's time to do that anyways. Alright, then on the brake master cylinder itself, there are a couple electrical lines coming down here. There's one in the front here, and there's one in the back right there as well. And those need to be disconnected because they run up this line here into the body up here. I'm going to label those very simply in a way that I can remember them. So I'm just going to do top back and top front. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start removing these bolts in here holding the body down. Alright, now on the rear of the vehicle, I have got a bolt right here that goes on top of the sort of shock arm here mount, and there's one on either side of the car, and just one bolt there. Remove that guy. That's a 17mm head on that one. Alright, now I'm going to remove all the bolts on the underside of the body right here. Alright, so there are 9 bolts along each side of the car, and they're all 13mm head on them. In order to get this body off of the chassis, I'm going to employ a technique I saw on another YouTube channel run by a fellow that calls himself Duckman. He's actually got a lot of VW content on there, so if you are just starving for VW content and this is not enough for you, I highly suggest going to check out Duckman. So he uses a cherry picker like this and a 4x4 like this, and he basically modifies the cherry picker very slightly so that he can attach that 4x4 to the end of the cherry picker. Then he runs the 4x4 through the doors of the Volkswagen and lifts the whole thing up with the cherry picker. I'm going to do it slightly different than he is. I think he just runs a bolt through the 4x4 and then down through cherry picker right here, and either he's got a different one where he's got a hole available, or he drilled a hole in here. I don't know, but I'm not going to drill a hole in this because that's not mine. Instead, I'm making a bracket that goes up and will bolt into the existing hole right here on either side, or we can run the bolt through there and clamp on a bracket that then has the bracket itself will have a piece of round stock that comes up through here, and then I can drill a hole through the 4x4 and attach it that way to this guy. It's raining out there today, but we're gonna see if we can get the body off this Volkswagen anyways, and see if we can roll the chassis into the garage where we can then work on removing those floor pans. Alright, so here is my little adapter thing for the cherry picker. Cherry picker guy, right here. Here's my adapter. And this, on how this works, let's look at it. Let's look at this thing. I've got one 4x4 with a hole in it that slides on, and then I've got another 4x4 with a hole in it, and that slides on, and then they go through the doors of the car, and that supports the car, and we can lift it up. So that's the plan. Let's see if we can actually do this thing though. I know! It's ridiculous. I have no choice around here. It rains all the time. Alright, now it's raining even harder. But I still got to disconnect some of these wires that go to the engine back here. So let's do that at least. Alright, I'm disconnecting the 2 wires that run to the distributor right here. The red one goes on the top here. And then I'm also disconnecting a wire that goes to the ignition coil right here. It goes in, connects right on this tab there, and it's this guy, that wire. And then I'm also disconnecting a wire that runs to this oil pressure temperature switch down here. I'm not sure if it's oil pressure or temperature, but that sensor that goes into the block right there. All right, rain has died down just a little bit. I'm gonna take action where we can. Alright, so the last part that I have forgotten to undo is the speedometer cable, which runs from up here on the speedometer, and it's this cable that runs down and goes through the body right about there, runs down through here, and then goes down to the wheel hub down in there. So we got to disconnect it from the wheel hub. And once you take this little clip off, then you can just push that through and then pull the wire out the back. So right up through here. It's now disconnected from the chassis, which I didn't even need to take the wheel off actually. Alright, now we've got the key to productivity. Being indoors, out of the weather.